OTR Halloween Holidays presents The Baba Ghoulie Show. With cartoons from Watchwaddle.
Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup present Inner Sanctum Mysteries, starring Boris Karloff. Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum. This is your host. Welcome again through the squeaking door to another session of mystery, murder, and madness. Oh, excuse me if I don't get up, but I'm all worn out. Yes, I've had a hectic few days with an old friend who just blew into town. He's one of those earnest souls who insists on doing everything for himself. Consultations with the monument makers, the grave diggers, fittings at the coffin maker. Yes, quite a busy body. But then we only die once, you know.
Oh, these friends of yours, they're such unhappy people. They never seem to enjoy life. Never seem interested in any of the quiet, peaceful, good things of life. For instance, what's the use of telling one of your spooky characters about Lipton tea? They wouldn't like it. But other people enjoy that brisk Lipton flavor. They settle back in an easy chair and say to themselves, Lipton certainly has a rich, hearty flavor. Never the least bit wishy-washy. No siree. But would a ghost appreciate Lipton's? Indeed, he would not. And it's lucky Lipton's is made for real, live folks who like good things, or else it wouldn't be the world's largest-selling brand of tea.
Mary, you've been very hard on my friends. Very. And they won't like it. But then most live folks don't enjoy being scared to death. And that's just what's going to happen to you tonight. Our story is called The Corridor of Doom. It's an original radio play written by Robert Newman. And our star tonight is a man who gives even me the shakes. The famous star of stage, screen, and radio, Boris Karloff. Have you thought about death lately? Not the fact that it's inevitable, that it must come to all of us someday, but rather how it will come. Do you think of it as a sleep and a waking, of a sudden transition from one state of being to another, or to a state of non-being? John Clay was one of those people who never thought about it at all, until he found himself walking down that dim and endless passage which... But suppose we let Boris Karloff in the role of John Clay tell you about it himself. If your blood pressure will take it, put out the lights and come on a little trip down the corridor of doom.
When I woke up, I had no idea of where I was or how I'd gotten there. I was lying on a hard, white bed in a clean, white room. There was a dull pain in my abdomen. Touching it tentatively, I felt a bandage. So that was it. An operation. But for what? And where was I? At that moment, the door opened, and she came in. Good afternoon. Or is it evening?
Whichever you prefer. It doesn't matter.
My name's Clay. John Clay.
Yes.
And yours?
You can call me Nada.
Exactly. Where am I? In what hospital?
It has no name.
What? Well, that's ridiculous. I'd like to speak to Dr. Rogers. If you'll get him for me, please.
There is no Dr. Rogers. At least, not here.
Then who operated on me? And for what? Listen, I'm not a well man. I've a very bad heart. Will you get someone who can talk to me?
If you wish. I'll call Dr. Stone.
A chill crept through my bones. It wasn't cold. It was fear. Unreasoning and abysmal fear. The door opened again, And there stood a heavy-set man, his hair flecked with gray, and with him, my son-in-law, Alex Bartlett. Alec, I can't tell you how glad I am to see you.
Hello, Father.
But why are you standing out there? Why don't you come in?
Oh, no. No,
I shouldn't advise it, Mr. Clay.
And why not? And why... Oh, was it you who operated on me?
Yes. I'm Dr. Stone.
Why wasn't Dr. Rogers called in? He's taken care of me for years.
There wasn't time. It happened during the night. Acute appendicitis. And even as it was...
Even as it was? What? And why are you dressed that way, Alec? All in black.
Well, it's customary. After all, you are my father-in-law.
Of course I am, but... Now, look, Alec. You've got to stop being so mysterious. You know about my heart, what any sudden shock will do.
I don't think you need worry about that anymore, Mr. Clay. And as far as the mystery is concerned, this initial period of adjustment is always a little difficult.
Difficult? Do you realize what it's like, lying here helpless, completely isolated, as if I were all alone in the world? Or isn't there someone I can talk to? Some of the other patients?
Not just yet. When the time comes, you'll meet them.
But, look, Doctor, I can't stand much more of this. I can't. If I don't find someone who really cares about me, who'll treat me like a normal human being... My dog. How about my dog?
What do you think, Doctor?
Yes, that's possible. We'll see what we can do, Mr. Clay. Come along, Bartlett.
Goodbye, Father.
You'll be back, won't you, Alec?
I don't know. I'll try, but it's difficult. Very difficult.
Then don't go, Alec. Don't leave me here all alone. Come back. Come back. I waited and watched and waited. Then the door opened, and there was the doctor again. There was a small, thin-faced man with him this time, wearing the white coat of an orderly and carrying a black box with a handle. My dog. You brought my dog.
All right, Martin. Give it to him.
Yes, sir.
Thank heaven, now at least. Come on, Carrie. Come on, boy. Get up. Wake up. Why, what's the matter? Carrie. He's not asleep. He's dead.
You wanted him, Mr. Clay.
But why didn't you tell me? When did he die? How?
How old was he?
11 and a half. Maybe 12.
Pretty old for a dog. That's probably why he could come.
What do you mean? What are you trying to do to me? Don't you realize I'm a sick man?
Easy, Mr.
I won't
Clay.
take it easy. I won't stay here another minute. I'm leaving right now.
Sorry, but I don't think we can permit it.
No, well, we'll see about that.
You're getting yourself all upset for no reason, Mr. Clay, making it very difficult for the rest of us. Martin,
Yes.
you'd better let me have some of that bottle there. About 10 cc's.
The red medicine?
Yes.
I don't want any medicine. I won't take it.
Now, please, Mr. Clay.
I won't, I tell you. No, I don't want the... It's awful. Salty. It tastes like...
Yes. But I think you'll find that it will make things much easier for you. Very much easier.
You're doping me up. That's what you're doing. Putting me to sleep. You think that when I wake up, I'll forget about everything.
Yes, Mr. Clay. You'll forget about everything. Everything.
I was somewhere deep down under the earth. It was a passageway, stone-flagged and with stone walls, and I was walking slowly down it in my bare feet. I could feel the chill of the cold stones through the thick layer of dust. The passageway stretched ahead of me, endlessly. And suddenly, I noticed that there were doors set into the walls on either side, closed doors. And on each door there was a name. Abel, Abercrombie, Abington. Where was I? What was this place? What was behind those awful, ominously closed doors? Something seemed to be drawing me on down the terrible passageway. Addison, Agar, Alan. I could feel the cold creeping up my legs, higher and higher, my heart pounding faster and faster. And suddenly I knew where I was and where I was going. Knew what was waiting for me there ahead of me down the passage. No, exerting all my will, I turned, tried to go back. With a roaring in my ears, I was falling through the darkness. Falling. When I opened my eyes, I was in that cold, white room again, clutching the blankets with trembling hands.
How do you feel now, Mr. Clay?
You cried out, sir, as if...
A dream. The most awful, horrible nightmare I ever had.
A dream? The doctor will be very interested. Would you care to tell me all about it?
Oh, I don't even want to think about it.
It was about your former life?
Former life?
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I meant... Here, where are you going?
To get my clothes, to get out of here. I won't stay here
But you
another
can't
minute.
go. You can't, Martin. Help me.
Please, let go. Let go. Don't you realize that if I do stay here, if I dream that dream again... Listen. I was in a passageway. An endless, eternal passageway like a corridor of doom. It stretched on and on to infinity with doors, closed doors on either side. And on each one of the doors in alphabetical order there was a name. The name of all those who had died since the beginning of time. I was walking down that corridor on my bare feet and... Why are you looking at me that way?
You mustn't talk about that. You mustn't, do you hear?
But you asked me.
You didn't dream that dream. You couldn't have. And you've got to get it out of your mind. We'll help you. We'll give you a massage. That should make you relax. The alcohol, Martin, right over there.
A massage, you think that'll help?
If it doesn't, we'll call Dr. Stone. Try something else. Martin.
I see.
Now what? What are you staring at?
Your feet.
On the soles. Dust. Thick, gray dust.
Dust. Like the dust in the passage. The corridor of doom. And that means... It wasn't a dream. It means... I was really there.
Dirty feet on those nice, clean sheets. No wonder our friend the nurse seemed so upset. Or was that the reason? Maybe she was just disappointed that he still hadn't told her about his operation. Yes, that always has them in stitches. Great big stitches. Like the ones they take in a shroud.
Mr. Host, I'm afraid I just can't believe this story. I can't believe that it really happened.
Is that so, Mary? Do you think Mr. Clay got that gray dust in his feet because he has feet of clay? Mm-hmm.
There you go again. Always looking on the discouraging side of things. I really do believe I'd rather talk to cheerful folk, like those nice young men and women who sang that new Lipton tea song when I was at the studio. Sing a song of Lipton's. Yes, that's the way people ought to feel about tea. Because, you know, when you're feeling discouraged or tired, there's nothing quite like that brisk flavor of Lipton tea to perk you up. Yes, brisk means that Lipton's is never wishy-washy. No, siree, as they say in the song. So when you've had a busy afternoon, or maybe when friends drop in for a little talk, pour yourself a cup of cheer with brisk-flavored Lipton tea. It's got a special flavor that always tastes like home. And it always tastes like more, too.
Well, now I think it's about time to take another little walk. Yes, down the corridor of doom with our star, Boris Karloff. And by the way, don't be concerned about getting too tired, because you'll only have to walk one way. That's the nice part of a trip like that. You don't have to worry about coming back.
I lay there, staring down at my feet. No, it had not been a dream. For there, on my feet, was the thick, heavy dust from the corridor of doom. I had been there, walking down its awful silence, not in my mind, but in the flesh. My heart clenched like an icy fist that I threw the blankets aside, started to get up.
Mr. Clay, what are you doing? Where are you going?
Let me go.
But you can't get up. You can't leave.
Oh,
here.
let me go.
Martin,
I
quick,
say.
help me.
Please, Mr. Clay. Oh, for heaven's sake, let me go. Don't you realize what this means? If it wasn't a dream, and if I stay here, go down to that horrible place
We've
again...
got to make him quiet down. Some more of that medicine, Martin. Another 10 cc.
Right.
Oh, no more of that. It's
Here, Mr. Clay.
You must take it. You must. It will make you sleep. Sleep so soundly that you won't be able to go down there again.
No, but... All right. Give it to me.
You stay here, Martin. I'll go get Dr. Stone and tell him.
Better, Mr. Clay?
I don't know. Color. Dark red. Taste. It's like...
Yes, I know.
And it makes me sleepy. My eyes get heavy and... Have you been here for a long time, Martin?
No, not long.
What is it like outside of this room?
It's strange. Like no place else.
And the other patients, what are they like?
They're strange, too.
Listen, Martin, I'm a rich man. You're the only friend I've got here. You've got to help me.
Whether you're rich or poor doesn't matter. As for helping you, that's what I'm here for.
You've got to stay here. Watch me. Every minute. My heart. I don't think it'll stand much longer. My first sensation was one of cold, numbing cold, creeping up my limbs. I reached for the blankets, couldn't find them. Then I opened my eyes, and I was there again, back there in that awful endless passage, that corridor of doom. The same stone wall, stone floor, covered with a thick layer of dust. The same doors with a name on each one, on both sides of me. But now I was up to the bees. That one there, Barbara, next to it, Babbitt, and then Backer. I tried to cry out, but I couldn't utter a sound. I tried to stop, check myself. My muscles didn't respond. Slowly, heavily, I continued walking on down that endless passage, past Badger, Baffin, Bagley, past the bees and towards the seas, towards a door with my name on it. My heart pulsed, pounding with terror. My breath rasped in my throat. Convulsively, I clutched at the walls, forced myself completely around. Then, as if I were fighting against a roaring gale, I drove myself back. One step I took, 2, 3, and I stumbled and was falling again, falling through darkness, complete, absolute, unending. Even before I opened my eyes, I knew where I was. Back in my room, the sheets crumpled in my sweating hands. I lay there for a moment. I knew that this was my last chance. And as I knew where I was. Back in my room, the sheets crumpled in my sweating hands. Slipped out of bed, tiptoed to the door of the room, opened it a crack, and peered out, a hospital corridor. And sitting at a desk halfway down it, the nurse. Could I slip past her? Then on a table next to the door, I saw the telephone. A telephone! Now I could get help, reach someone who would save me, take me out of this place. Picking it up quietly, I dialed my daughter's number, Alec Bartlett's wife. Jane? Oh, thank heaven.
Hello?
Jane, it's your father. Listen, you've got to help me. You've got to come and get me. I'm at the hospital. Alec
Hello?
knows where.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Yes, can't you hear me? Didn't you hear what I said? It's your father and... Jane! Hung up. I heard her, but she couldn't hear me. Something wrong with the phone, her phone. I've got to get hold of somebody, but who? Dr. Rogers? Oh, might be out. If they come in while I'm phoning... Oh, I know, of course.
Police headquarters, Ryan speaking.
Hello, police. This is John Clay of Riverside Road. I'm at a hospital. I don't know where.
Hello?
But... Can't you hear me, officer? For heaven's sake, listen. It's a matter of life and death. John Clay at a hospital. My son-in-law, Alec Bartlett, can tell you where.
Hello?
Officer, listen. Don't hang up.
Oh,
Don't.
nuts.
Officer, hello.
Anything the matter, Mr. Clay?
Dr. Stone, your telephone, there's something wrong with it.
No, Mr. Clay. There's nothing wrong. Not with the telephone.
But I tried to make 2 calls. 2 different numbers, and...
I know. And you should have known. Nurse, orderly.
Should have known what? Why couldn't they hear me when I could hear them? Why?
Yes, Dr. Stone?
Will you put Mr. Clay back into bed?
No.
I'm awfully sorry, sir. I only went out for a minute. Come on, Mr. Clay.
No,
please.
leave me alone, please.
Mr.
Let go.
Clay,
No.
No use struggling. You know that, don't you?
Yes, I know. Doctor, I won't have to go back down there again, will I? Down to the corridor?
That's not up to me. All right, nurse. I think we're ready for another dose. The final one.
Yes, Doctor.
No, doctor. No, not that red medicine. Not again.
I'm sorry, but you've had a lot of time. All the time we can give you.
All right, Mr. Clay.
No, I won't
Here.
take it. You know what it means, Doctor. If I go back down there again to the corridor, it'll be to the letter C. To the place where my name is.
If he won't take it by himself, perhaps you'd better help her, Martin.
Yes, sir.
No,
Here,
I
Clay.
won't. Again, I knew where I was before I opened my eyes. I could feel the dust under my bare feet, and through the dust, the biting chill of the cold stones. I was there, back in the corridor, walking down its silent length past the blank, closed doors. For the names on the doors, now they were all C's. Cabot, Cadden, Cahoon. On I walked, the beating of my heart, the pounding of my pulse loud in my ears. On down the passage, no longer even trying to fight against what I knew was inevitable. On past Cameron, Chelsea, Chiswick, and then, suddenly, terribly, one door. A door with my name on it, gaping, waiting for me. I tried to stop, to turn, but my legs carried me forward. I was but 2 doors away. I could see into it now, see that it contained nothing. Absolutely nothing, not even a coffin. Just stone walls and a flat stone slab. I was turning to step over the threshold. I made a last convulsive effort. Merciful heavens, help me! Save me!
All right, Martin. Pick him up.
Yes, sir.
Is it all over? Hello, Bartlett. In at the death, eh? I'll see if there's any pulse, of course, but I should think it is all over.
It is Stone, but not the way you think.
What? Clay.
He's not dead.
No thanks to you. All right, get him up, both of you. Here, Mr. Clay, let me help
It's
you.
all right, Martin. I'll be fine from now on.
But how?
Don't look so surprised, Alec. Mr. Martin is a detective. I hired him some time ago. You see, I had a feeling that something was wrong when that railing broke accidentally, and I took that bad fall. So I decided I should investigate.
You can't prove it. You can't prove anything.
The first results of Martin's investigation showed me what bad financial shape you were in. And it was then that I realized that you had actually been trying to murder me to get hold of my money. So I faked that story of having a very bad heart.
You mean it?
I thought it would give you the idea of trying something more subtle and less dangerous. And it certainly did.
But you still can't prove anything, not a thing.
No, don't you worry about that. Don't forget. Come back here, Bartlett.
You'll never have a chance to prove it.
Come back, Bartlett.
Oh, you shot him, killed him.
Well, I couldn't have. I fired up in the air to get him to stop.
Come on.
But I don't understand it. There's not a mark on him. But he is dead.
He was the one who had the bad heart. That's what gave me the idea of pretend. Good heavens, look.
At what?
This hallway was supposed to be the corridor of doom. When I reached the door with my name on it, I was supposed to die. Look. Look at the name on that door there. The one right next to him.
Bartlett. His name. So what?
Nothing, Martin. Nothing at all.
Now, where do you think old Dr. Stone got the idea for that little alphabetical graveyard? That's right, for me. Huh? You don't believe me? Then come on home with me tonight, and I'll show you the one in the cellar of my house. What's more, I'll show you a door and a neat stone slab with your name on it.
Nonsense, Mr. Host. Mr. Clay just explained that the whole thing was a hoax. And I'm not going to sit here and hear you say otherwise.
Well, then don't sit. Stand up and we'll take a walk, Mary Bennett. Yes, back to your name. Back to the bees. Baker, Bartlett, Bennett.
You don't scare me.
Yeah? Well, how would you like it if we went to the L's and found a door marked Lipton?
Oh, why, that's fine. Inside, we'd find a wonderful, friendly beverage, Lipton's, the tea with the brisk flavor, the tea that's welcome at all hours of the day. Yes, the largest selling brand of tea in the whole world, Lipton tea.
And now a word of advice. If you should wake up tonight with a sudden chill, find yourself walking barefoot down a dusty stone corridor with doors on both sides of it, don't get excited. Just insist on a doom with a view. By the way, this month's Inner Sanctum mystery novel is The Whistling Legs by Roman McDougal. Yes, and next week's Inner Sanctum story, directed by Hyman Brown and brought to you by Lipton Tea and Lipton Soup. Next week's story is about women. Yes, two women who like to be treated rough. Choke 'em to death, shoot 'em, murder 'em. They'll love you for it. And who do you think is going to be their boyfriend? That's right. Boris Karloff. Boris Karloff will be with us again next week, because who else could love such women? So, if you're in a tender mood, tune in next Tuesday. Until then, good night. Pleasant dreams.
Folks, it's wonderful how quick and easy cooking can be these days. I guess some of you remember when it used to take half a day to make a pot of chicken noodle soup. But now we have Lipton's noodle soup mix. You might say Lipton's takes no time at all to prepare, and yet it has a fresh cooked chickeny taste, a real old-fashioned homemade flavor. Yes, and it's brimful of tender golden egg noodles. Lipton's is grand for quick meals, and it's also a perfect beginning for the most elaborate dinner. So don't forget to serve Lipton's noodle soup. And don't forget to tune in next Tuesday night for another Inner Sanctum mystery.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Cartoons, usually found in your television set. Today, however, they will appear inside your radio. This is Watch Waddle Tunes on the Baba Ghoulie Show. Ladies and gentlemen, Twisted Peanuts!
I got a rock.
Rock!
I got a rock.
Rock!
I got a rock.
And now it's time for Radio Ghost. Oh, Rochester, where is my violin?
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Is that you, Mert? How's every little thing? Tain't funny, McGee.
Don't touch that.
William S. Grant, Special Investigator. Department of Defense, Washington. Well, I guess that makes it pretty official.
Yes, I guess it does.
His body is rigid with burns. The boat's charred, too. Yet there's no sign of fire. We better get him out of the water.
I'll take care of him myself.
Just thought I'd give you some help.
now that you've got all my vital statistics, let's have yours. Name, address, occupation, things like that.
And the name's Baxter. Ted Baxter. The address, local hotel. Occupation, beachcomber and tourist. Length of stay, indefinite. Will that do?
Tell me, how did you happen to pick this particular place? Know anybody in town?
No. I have a letter of introduction to the head of the College of Oceanography here.
Professor King?
Which explains why I'm here at this particular minute. I was on my way to see him at his home when I stumbled in onto this.
Come out of there! I met you at the College of Oceanography yesterday, didn't I?
That's right. I'm George Thomas, Professor King's assistant.
You seemed a little anxious not to be seen.
Well, I saw two strangers standing over a corpse. Not being the hero type, I decided this was no place for me.
You planning to do a little diving, Mr. Thomas? This late at night?
I'm an oceanographer. The ocean's my business, day or night.
Anything particularly interesting around here? You'll keep out of this. You better not do any diving around here for a while. I want you to forget that you were even here tonight, understand?
You're soaking wet.
So I am. I saw a wonderful marine specimen. I went in after it.
With the college on vacation, you're spending more time there than ever. I hardly see you anymore. I've never seen you this detached from me, from reality.
I'm working on breathtaking things, Lois. Great things.
And you still won't tell me what it is?
Not yet.
You've got your own staff consumed with curiosity. Even your secretary has asked me if I know what it is you're doing behind that tightly locked lab of yours.
She's a sneaking, prying female. I should fire her. And I suppose George is quizzing you, too.
A little. I think he feels a deep resentment because you cut him off from your work so.
He's an opportunist, not a scientist. I don't trust him nor Ethel. They're both spying on me. I'm not here. I'm in bed. I've been in bed an hour. An hour, you understand?
Oh, won't you come in?
Thank you. Is Professor King here?
I'm sorry, he's asleep. He went to bed an hour ago.
Oh, I see. Are you sure the professor's asleep? Tell him that Ted Baxter's here. It's urgent.
What do you want him for?
Please tell him.
Dad? Dad?
My friend the beachcomber. Supposing you tell me what your great interest in this thing is, Dr. Stevens.
You work fast, don't you?
Oh, I've learned quite a lot about you, Doctor. You'd be surprised how well Washington knows you. Care to hear how famous you are? Dr. Stevens, oceanographer, one of the leaders in this field, author of 2 highly controversial books, Biological Effects of Radiation on Marine Life and Nature's Own Death Ray.
You have been busy, Mr. Grant.
There's more. Dr. Stevens, in a laboratory experiment, successfully activated the hydrogen isotopes in heavy water to form an atomic chain reaction. He called this development the first workable death ray. Suppose you tell me what you're doing with that Geiger counter.
Well, I told you I thought the boat showed radiation burns. I wanted to verify it. I did. Scientific curiosity, you might say.
And using a phony name? What's that for?
That's for reasons of my own.
I watched you yesterday. The way you looked out there as if you expected something like this was going to happen.
Am I to consider myself a suspect?
What happened out there seems to tie in pretty closely with your own experiments.
The evidence, if you can call it that, was highly circumstantial. Washington tell you anything else about me?
Enough to make me keep my eyes on you.
You know, if you leave me alone, I might be able to help you with this.
And then again, maybe not.
Morning, Miss Ethel.
Morning, Andy.
They found Willie Harrison's boat this morning, burned like the others. They ain't found his body. That makes 3 the Phantom's got. You know what they're saying in town? That nothing like this ever happened until they opened the school here. I can't say that I blame them. The way the professor's been acting, locking himself up in his room. He won't even let me in there to clean it. And all those noises coming from that room.
I've got work to do, Andy.
And that young one, George.
What about George?
He's following the professor around. Follows him everywhere. I seen it. Hiding behind trees. Watches him all the time. It ain't normal, this carrying on.
What's not normal, Andy?
I'm not to be disturbed, you understand?
Yes, sir.
What have you got there, Ethel?
Nothing, just a piece of scrap.
HEF increase 0.56 dash 24. 0.64 dash 32. .70-18.
Keeping right up with the professor, aren't you, George?
I'm one step ahead of him. I've got to get into his lab, Ethel. You've got to help me get in there. It's worth a lot of money to me. To you, too.
I could tell him what you're up to.
You could. But you won't.
Oh, hi there. Tell me, how did you leave your house? Through the door or through the open window like your father did last night?
Through the door. I leave the window exits to Dad. Join me in a swim?
No, I'm a little winded. How about you joining me in a rest? Maybe I can pick up some of that color you have.
Care for a cigarette?
No, thanks.
Is something the matter?
No.
You seem a little nervous, Mr. Baxter.
Why don't you call me Ted? Mr. Baxter sounds so formal, especially here at the beach.
All right, Ted. Oh, it's too nice just to sit around. If you're not coming in for a swim, then I think I'll go in alone.
Now, look, you can't go swimming.
I don't like being told what to do.
Well, it's not a case of my telling you what to do. It's just that it isn't safe out there.
I think you're being a little ridiculous. Look, I've spent all my life near the water. I can handle myself under any situation.
But I'm afraid you can't in this one. I'm going to insist that you stay out of the water at least for a while.
Insist?
Yes, you must trust me.
You really mean that, don't you?
I really do. Let's just say that I'd feel better knowing that you were safe here on the beach. For personal reasons.
You ought to do that more often.
Do what?
Smile. I like it.
Oh. Well, all I need is a bit of encouragement. And you've given that to me.
Ethel, will you go down to the supply room and get some ocean current charts?
Yes, sir.
Professor King, I wonder if I might have a few words with you alone.
Ethel, I believe you were on your way down to the supply room.
I called on you at your home last night, but you'd gone out for a walk through an open window.
Yes, my daughter Lois told me that a Mr. Baxter had called. I got a terrible scolding on your account. I'm afraid you ruined my favorite device for getting out of the house when I can't sleep.
Professor, I saw a fisherman's body washed up on the shore last night.
These men get very careless. They think they rule the sea, but it's just the opposite. The sea rules us, Mr. Baxter.
This man wasn't killed by a natural force. His body was rigid with radiation burns. I think whatever killed him was man-made.
Indeed. Very interesting. Although not within my scope as an oceanographer. Just what is it you want of me, Mr. Baxter?
Well, I'd like a detailed study of the ocean in this vicinity, the depth and the composition of the floor, anything that you might have.
Take a little time to gather them.
I'd like them as soon as possible.
Oh, I told my daughter I wouldn't work this afternoon. Why don't you come to the house about 3? Say, if you get there before I do and Lois is out, just go on right in. The house is generally unlocked.
Well, that'll be fine.
And by the way, I take it you are working with Mr. Grant, the federal investigator.
You might say so. You can come in now, miss. I hope you found the conversation interesting.
You're an inquisitive woman, aren't you, Ethel?
At least you might have knocked.
Well, I did. And your father told me to open the door and come in.
He would. Would you mind handing me those things there?
Surely.
Thanks. Is Father expecting you?
Yes.
Would you mind helping me with this zipper?
Of course.
You're an awful long time with that.
Mission completed. Sorry to say.
Hello. I'm sorry I'm late.
Well, now that Dad's here, will you excuse me?
Oh, surely.
I hope these are what you wanted. Dr. Stevens. I've read your books very thoroughly, Doctor, on which, incidentally, your photograph appears.
Well, maybe it's just as well you know who I am. Have you charted the area around Baker's Cove?
The area where the accidents occurred? No, I don't think we got around to that. We've only been here 2 years, you know.
Well, you've mapped other areas in this vicinity. A few years ago, a submerged deposit of uranium ore was found along this coast. Is there any evidence of a similar deposit along here?
No, not to my knowledge. Why?
Why, this morning I made a test dive over the area where the accidents have taken place. They weren't accidents. There's a shaft of light coming up out of the ocean. I have reason to believe that it's nuclear in character. Now, any object coming in contact with this light would be subject to extreme radiation. I believe this light killed 3 men.
Incredible. You say you made a close examination of this light?
Not as close as I would have liked to. It was being guarded by a sea serpent. A hideous beast that defies description.
No, Doctor, if I didn't know that you were a scientist of high standards, I'd say that you were the victim of the ridiculous phantom stories that are running wild around the village.
Professor, you say you've read my stories.
Indeed, I have. Much of my work is based on your findings.
Well, then you must remember my experiments on activating the hydrogen isotopes in heavy water.
Oh, but that was on a miniature scale in a laboratory with a lot of equipment. But on the ocean floor...
I proved it could be done. I used artificial means to start the reaction.
Then you think that with the submerged deposit of uranium ore, you can get the same reaction on a much larger scale?
A weapon like this could destroy anything coming in contact with it.
Oh, fantastic.
Once the chain reaction had started, it could continue indefinitely. As a matter of fact, keep growing larger.
And what about the beast down there? Was he man-made too?
I believe so. Since marine life lives in a constant flow of heavy water, the effect of radiation on it would be completely different than it is on humans.
Well, that's your theory on mutations, isn't it, Doctor?
Yes. And if what I believe is true, this monster that I saw in the ocean was a mutation of some sea creature. You see, it draws its energy from the nuclear light itself, just as plant life needs the sun to grow on.
Well, have you any evidence to support this fantastic theory?
I created such a mutant in my own laboratory.
Oh, come now, Doctor.
I destroyed it, just as this creature must be destroyed, and the knowledge that went into creating it.
You think that knowledge might have come out of my college? Since I am head of that college, obviously.
Professor, in science, we look for one thing and find another. We split an atom and the hydrogen bomb is evolved. We set up a simple experiment or study on underwater life. Something new and horrible is created.
I feel as if I and my experiments are suspect.
Well, I haven't overlooked that possibility. If it were a matter of pure science alone, I'd be inclined to examine you most closely. However, there's another element.
Another element?
The person responsible for this terrible weapon has offered it for sale to the highest bidder.
For sale? I don't believe it. Hello. Yes, Mr. Grant. We'll have them ready for you in the morning. That's right. Goodbye. Grant's going to make a dive in the morning. He's borrowing some equipment from us. We can't let him go down there.
Why not?
Well, in view of what you told me, I thought, well, it's not safe for him to go down there. Why are you staring at me, Doctor?
You seemed so skeptical when I told you the results of my test dive. Yet you show a genuine concern for Mr. Grant's safety. Good day, Professor.
Ethel. Did I startle you? I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you come out.
I forgot to tell you, Mr. Grant wants to pick up a full set of diving equipment tomorrow. Have it ready for him.
Yes, sir.
And tell George and the night watchman, in case you're not here.
Yes, sir.
Ethel, I consider you an intelligent woman. A bit bitter, perhaps. No great lover of mankind, but still intelligent. I'd like your opinion. What would you consider a just punishment for a man or woman who would betray his fellow man for money? One who would take a scientific discovery of monumental scope and use it to line his or her pockets.
I don't know.
Would you consider death just? Well? No matter. You can tell me some other time.
Hello. Get me Mr. Grant, please.
You shouldn't have come here. I may have been followed.
There was a time when you would have welcomed me under any circumstances.
You've got federal men investigating. They must know something. They're planning on making a dive tomorrow.
A dive? They've got to be stopped.
How?
That's your problem.
You shouldn't have come here.
I had to. I got a cable from Antwerp. I'm to fly there in 2 days. They're expecting me to bring some vital information from you.
I'm not ready.
You were ready enough to accept a considerable sum of money in advance, weren't you?
I won't know anything until I can get into King's lab.
Then get in. Butt your way in.
I tried that with his secretary. It didn't work.
You're facing some serious problems, George. You have 2 days in which to find the answers. I'll be leaving for Europe the day after tomorrow.
Where will I find you?
I'll be spending most of my time soaking up a little sun at Colby's Point. That's where we used to meet, remember?
I remember. For quite a while, we were just a man and a woman, weren't we? I didn't know then they could put beauty and poison so cleverly together in one package.
Colby's Point, remember? Is it all right to talk here?
Go ahead.
I can tell you what you want to know.
All right.
Lovely.
Thank you. I hope my caller feels the same way about it.
I'm sure he will. Dr. Stevens is very observing. He's a bright young man. Sometimes I think he's too bright.
Too bright? I don't understand what you mean.
Oh, just an old coot thinking out loud. You know, science is a devouring mistress. She devours all who seek to fathom her mysteries. And for every secret she reveals, she demands a price. A price that a scientist must be prepared to pay. Even at the cost of his life. Or the life of others who stand in the way of his search.
You say that almost as though you were threatening me.
You? What nonsense. Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening. I dare say you two won't mind being left alone.
You're beautiful.
Which is a good opening line for any date.
Oh, I've got more. But they require an entirely different setting. How about a nice walk along the ocean?
He may fool the rest of you with his soft voice, but not me. He's a killer.
You can't accuse King of treason just because you hate him.
I'll accuse him of anything. He sent my only son out in a squall to get his filthy ocean specimens.
Proof, Ethel. I need proof.
He works behind those locked doors of his. If I could just get in there, I could get you all the proof you want.
We may be able to figure out something along those lines. If I could show you how to make a wax impression of those locks, could you do it sometime tomorrow?
I'm sure I could.
Come on.
I'd better be getting home. It's late. It's been a lovely evening.
Yes, it was pleasant. And it did go fast.
Mostly in talk about my father and the college, now that I think of it. You've learned a great deal about him.
Natural curiosity about a fellow scientist. There were some very pleasant moments of silence, too.
We really should go.
All right. You go home and call Bill Grant. You'll find him at the hotel. Tell him I'll wait here for his instructions. Hurry, please.
They're burned worse than the fisherman was. I think it's about time we did something about this.
We? Am I off your list of suspects?
Earlier today, I had a long talk with Washington. You were the topic of conversation.
Am I to be shot at sunrise?
They told me to cooperate with you. You could have floored me. They put you on this case, too, and didn't even tell me about it.
I thought they would eventually. Apparently, they wanted two completely indifferent investigations of this. One from a scientific point of view and one from a
gumshoe, government style? Pacific College of Oceanography. You know, this spear may be our first real break. Kind of narrows the field down, doesn't it?
Yes, it seems so.
I think I'll take it down to the crime lab and have them dust it for prints. How about you going down to the college and picking up some diving equipment? I checked with Professor King, and he said the night watchman would give it to us.
Okay.
What do you say we make our dive about 6 a.m.?
Yeah. Bill, I made a test dive yesterday. It's pretty grim. There's a shaft of radioactive light down there. Touch it and you're dead. And if that isn't enough, there's some kind of an animal standing guard over it.
Then there really is a basis for these phantom stories?
I'm afraid there is.
This'll take care of it. And I won't miss.
Now, my principal interest is the light ray. Now, you will have to draw whatever it is down there away so I can get a good look at that light. And Bill, now, it isn't going to be easy or pleasant.
Neither is this.
What happened? Still want to go in? Feel all right? Okay.
I'm picking up King and his assistant.
What for?
The poison in that mask came from the college, and so did the spear that was fired at you.
So we can prove a charge of attempted murder. That's not what we're after. We want to know who created that thing and how to destroy it. Don't you understand, Bill? It's the knowledge, the know-how that went into making that ray. That's the real danger.
It all ties together. We were getting too nosy, so King tried to get rid of both of us.
Maybe it was George. Maybe both of them. The secretary could be tied into it for all we know.
Now, roll her out. We were, well, talking. She tells me she can prove that King's behind this whole thing.
Prove it? How?
I rigged up a set of keys for her to get into his laboratory. She tells me all the proof I need is right in that room.
I hope she's right.
We'll know tonight.
One of the spear guns is missing.
I saw King take one out yesterday.
That's odd. I thought I saw you carrying one when you left last night.
You see too much, Ethel. You should wear blinkers. Is he in yet?
No.
I've got to get in there today.
Break the door down.
He mustn't know, Ethel. This is important to me, as important as staying alive.
I can't help you.
This is serious. I'm in trouble. You like that, don't you?
I've too much trouble of my own to worry about yours.
Morning.
Good morning. Dad told me that you and Mr. Grant made a dive.
Yes.
I'm glad I learned about it after it was all over.
I phoned the college. They told me your father was at home.
He was terribly upset when he heard the news. The boy, the one in the boat, he was one of his students.
Oh, that's a shame. I'd like to talk to your father.
You wish to speak to me?
Well, yes. I thought you might be interested in the results of the dive we made this morning.
The very fact that you're here now tells me that your phantom, as well as your light ray, is a myth, a hoax.
They both exist. The light ray, as you call it, is very definitely atomic and deadly. The only reason I'm alive is because I made sure I didn't come in contact with it myself.
It's all too preposterous for serious thought. Phantom, marine mutations, death rays, utter nonsense. I'm afraid, Doctor, that you are the victim of an overwhelming imagination. Good day, Dr. Stevens.
You don't look well, George. Or is it just that I don't find you attractive anymore?
Nothing's going right, Wanda. I don't know if I can get what they want.
They won't like it. And when they don't like something, they're liable to be a little extreme in showing it. They might even come to the same conclusion that I came to last night. That you're of no use to us.
Last night?
Ethel, King's secretary, was crying a little heart out to Mr. Grant. I saw them.
Government man?
I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I'm pretty sure I caught your name.
She knows enough about me to...
Evidently, she hasn't told him what she knows yet.
What do I do, Wanda?
I know what I'd do. I'll be here tomorrow, too. But don't come unless you have something for me.
You're working very late tonight, aren't you, Ethel?
I had some work to clean up. Good night.
Ethel. I believe you were looking for these.
Dad, what's wrong?
Oh, I feel so old, so tired, defeated. Dr. Stevens, I want to apologize to you for my rudeness this afternoon. I've had a few very trying days.
Of course, I understand. Maybe I better leave.
Come in.
Professor King?
That's right.
Were you at the college tonight?
Yes, for a while.
Mind telling me when you left?
About an hour ago, I think. What's this all about?
Your secretary, Miss Hall, was found murdered a short while ago.
Ethel.
She left the college. A few minutes later, you followed. That it?
I don't grasp the significance of that fact. Do you think that I would take a human life? Willfully, deliberately?
She just as well as told me you were going to kill her.
She was killed with one of the college's spear guns.
Am I being formally charged with this horrible thing?
Not yet. But it's just a matter of time.
Come on.
Dad.
We just gonna sit here all day?
There isn't much else we can do till the sheriff gets here with his report.
No, it's just like I killed Ethel myself. I rigged the keys for her to get into King's laboratory. That's it. That's what we ought to do. Get into that room of his.
Well, assuming that it was King, which is something I'm not ready to do, he could have destroyed everything in his laboratory if he found Ethel in there. His equipment, his notes. Don't you see, Bill, it's what's in his mind or George's that's important.
Notes? Wait a minute. Ethel gave me this at the restaurant. She copied it from King. Mean anything to you?
Oh, we solved your murder for you, Mr. Grant. Same spear gun fired both shafts. The one that tried to kill Doc here and the one that got Miss Hall. Same fingerprints over both of them. They were George Thomas's, King's assistant. The dumbest killer you ever saw. Left the spear gun in his car. Same prints all over it. And to clinch it, he didn't come home last night.
I guess I'd better put in for retirement. I sure had this one figured wrong.
I called the college to tell the old man he was in the clear, but no one answered.
He's probably at home. I think I better go tell him.
Tell the old man I'm sorry.
I kind of have an idea where we can get George. Want to come along? Might be able to use some help.
Come on.
I'd forgotten how pleasant it could be, just walking.
You see, it's not so hard to take a day off. We'll do it again.
I doubt whether the trap would permit it.
The trap?
Knowledge sometimes has steel jaws, like a trap, and it can either destroy the hunter or the hunted.
You frighten me when you talk like that.
And I promise not to. Oh, here comes your Dr. Stevens.
I have some news that I think will interest you.
About Ethel's murder?
The sheriff has proof it was George.
I knew it wasn't you.
Why would he want her dead?
It's possible that Ethel found out that, well, he had to silence her.
Why in the gloom? Dad's just been acquitted of murder.
Lois, I'd like to talk to your father alone.
Why?
It'll only take a few minutes, dear. You better run on home. I'll follow you there. You'd better go.
Please. Ethel gave this to Mr. Grant. She said she copied it from your notes. Intensity increased readings of the light shaft. You called it HEF.
Hydro Energy Force. You're quite right. There is a uranium deposit on the ocean floor.
How did you activate it?
That, Dr. Stevens, is my knowledge and mine alone.
But it must be destroyed.
It started with a simple animal experiment. One of yours, Doctor.
I thought so.
And I advanced it way beyond the scope of your imagination. Didn't I?
Don't tell me how you created it. Tell me how to destroy it.
I don't know that I want to.
But, Doctor, you're not free to do as you wish. 5 people have died as a result of that thing.
You're quite right. But just give me 1 hour to think about it. It's a decision that's not easy to make.
I have no other choice.
Thank you. I'll meet you here. And, Doctor, stay with Lois. She'll need you.
I know Dad's in some kind of trouble and needs me. I know it.
But your father asked you to wait here.
I can't. We've got to find him. Do you know where he might be?
Well, he possibly could have gone to the lab.
Well, then I'm going there.
No, wait a minute.
Do I have to go alone, or are you coming with me?
Perhaps you're right. You can't do any good here just waiting. Let's go.
Ted, what happened? That ship had just exploded.
Lois, I've got to find your father.
You can't mean that Dad had anything to do with this.
I haven't got time to talk.
Ted?
Professor King! Mr. King! You may come in and clean up now, Andy. It's about time. What in the world is that? Do you mean to say that's one of God's creatures, Professor?
No, Andy, that's one of man's follies, and I pray God there'll never be another one. Goodbye, Andy.
On your feet.
Figured you'd show up here sooner or later. What do you want of me?
Just a confession to Ethel Hall's murder.
We found a spear gun in your car. Ballistic tests and fingerprints pretty well tie you into it, mister. You weren't very clever about it.
Neither was your girlfriend, Wanda.
No, I guess I wasn't. I should have learned more of my teacher. He killed in wholesale lots.
What are you talking about?
Professor King, he planted that thing out in the ocean.
What's he mean, Bill?
I think I know. Can you handle him yourself, Sheriff?
What happened? Where's Dad?
He left a few minutes ago, Miss King.
Did he say where he was going?
No, he just busted up the place and left in a hurry.
Why destroy all this? His experiments, his life's work.
I'm afraid only your father can explain that.
But I still don't understand. Do you know why he did this?
I think I do.
What a mess. King?
Yeah, I left a few minutes ago. Probably headed for the beach. We're on our way there now.
Let's take my car. Come on, we can hurry.
Perhaps I could have stopped him. I know he meant this power to be used to help humanity, not destroy it.
I'm sure he did. And he paid for his mistake. Nature has many secrets that man mustn't disturb. And this was one of them.
I know. Only he too could have understood.
I'm sure he does, Lois. That's why he took his secret with him.
This is Watch Waddle Cartoons on the Baba Ghoulie Radio Show, signing off for the evening.
Whoopsie!